What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Heck versus Hell, where the truth we tell. That is right. That is correct. We are back going at them hard once again. Another beautiful Friday. I hope you're having a great week, month, year, and doing amazing things for the Lord, and even having joy in times of tribulation, as we know that these things are all for the good of those who love him. Well, check out any new updates that we have going on www.realdoubledosechannel.com. Different things unrolling, different things unfolding. Of course, always striving to do more and more to expand and be able to reach more people, have more people, grow in different communities, and just get on God's mission overall. So we will be having spots and placements soon overall for different opportunities of hopping on the team kind of situation. But we'll speak about that more once that does happen. Of course, just growing, expanding. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do. And you are on this journey with us. This is a part of your journey as well. Even if you don't directly get involved to where we even know who you are, we know you're supporting us just by listening to this. So thank you so much for that. And let's get into this video, because that is a perfect transition for this one. And honestly, I didn't even come up with a name yet. I just had a way I wanted to approach it. And it comes from that directly, because so much of everything, we see that God is always copied and always mimicked through Satan. Satan's always trying to mimic, so always trying to Faux, F-A-U-X, Christ. He's always trying to find different mannerisms. And even in business, there's businesses that literally take the principles of God's order when it comes to sanctification, when it comes to the employees, when it comes to the delegation of what should be had from the kingdoms of God, when it comes to so many different things, even just God himself, the order that is taken from that in order to implement them into businesses, and so many things being taken away from the glory. Now, I'm not even going to get into about how the wicked store up wealth for the righteous, because that's a whole nother conversation that we're going to go into. But this one is more so about how it's supposed to look like, because a lot of people have such a plain image, such a plain vision of what progress or success looks like. Yet Christ is literally the epitome of a successful life, doing exactly what he was born and made to do. And so many people wouldn't be able to truly see that if they did not have the intimacy of knowing God and the intimacy of the Bible. This is literally the best example that can be had, sent by God himself and is God himself. So it's the perfect showing of how not everything is supposed to look like it. So it's a rewiring in our own mind to understand, hey, a lot of what we see really isn't the way that it needs to be. Even whenever it comes to people, quote unquote, selling their souls for music labels, music artists, whatever it may be, they show them a certain picture of success. Even the devil was trying to show Christ a picture of success, of what he believed was success. And unfortunately, that's the painting that's often painted in the world, right? Take you to the pinnacle. Hey, you can own all of this, when he had the authority to give it. But Christ is always above all. Remember, the world is yours and you are Christ, and Christ is God's. So the world's already yours. I didn't even know why he was offering it to him to begin with if it was already Christ. You know, I'm assuming it was more so the position in the world in being crowned that ruler over that place, but it's already ours. You know, so he's looking at the most minimalist things, which is the earthly possessions that we cannot take with us, because even the resonance of the relationships that we hold and carry will be taken with us, right? Only the bad memories will be taken away. In heaven, I believe we're still going to have memories on the good times that we had, meaning the relationships that we had, right? I say in heaven, in New Jerusalem, should I say, and in the kingdom fully manifested, because the kingdom of heaven is always within you. Let me not confuse people. But anyways, it shows that he always has a surface level kind of idea, and that's actually very interesting that I'm bringing that up, because one of the things that we also understand that many people seem to have not spoken about, or what they believe, or even thought about the conversation, but demons can't read our minds, but they can feel our frequencies. And thoughts are frequencies, so they can feel a ballpark of what we're thinking and what we're emotionally feeling. Right? In the same way, whenever somebody comes in a room, let's say you're laughing, you're having fun, and your parent comes in and he's just mad. She's just mad. They're very upset. Or a friend comes in and they're just in a horrible mood. You literally feel the tension in the air. You feel the heaviness of that emotion come in and just take over the room to an extent. If we can feel it, if dogs can feel it, literally, even certain animals have the ability to smell fear. They actually did a test, which is a really nasty test, in my opinion. It's pretty gross. But they did a test where they took one group of participants and put them in an environment where they had them exercise. They had them run, they had them do all these types of things, and they took that sweaty clothes, put it somewhere. The other group, they went and had them skydive. And through that skydiving, they still sweat and all that good stuff. So they took that sweaty clothes and grabbed it too. They got a third group who had no idea what was going on, that were just asked to smell the clothes. The ones that smelt the clothes of the people exercising didn't have an emotional impact whatsoever. I believe they might have had more so of almost like not a pride, but some kind of confidence that came over them from the exercise. That's what I believe. They didn't write that down. They didn't have any of that, but I truly believe that's what they had. The other group that smelt the people skydiving, all of them had fear come over them. Like it became theirs just through the smell, which is incredible to even comprehend. So whenever you hear those things, about how they can smell fear and they can do this and they can do that with animals, with dogs, that's something that is proven. So if dogs and animals can do this, how much more can the adversaries of God, the adversaries of us? They live in a whole different realm. They live in a place where it's more prevalent. They can understand it more, and it's really, really heavy. Actually, I had, and I'm, I hate saying it, and I hate speaking about these type of things, but I had another episode of sleep paralysis. I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned it on here, but this was about a year and a half ago. So something like that. And I was in the room and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I knew it was going to be one of those episodes. So what happens is, essentially, you are in this full conscious awareness, just like we are right now, but you're almost a layer under, right? Not the full consciousness, but a layer right under, where you're even more keen to your senses. So you can feel what someone looks like walking into the room. You can feel things on a whole different vibrational manner. You can feel emotions through your senses. And I believe that's actually one of the places that we should be too. That is one of the combinations we should be too. But that's also where these spirits can physically manifest to our eyes, right? More so of what we have seen. And of course, there's a difference between the fallen angels and these spirits. This is where those spirits can physically be seen. So it's happened to me before. If you haven't heard those episodes, go look up the hidden episodes. I think I call them the hidden episodes. But this is just a little one, a little snippet, little testimony of it. So I had gone and I knew I was going into it because the way I feel it, the way I know that I'm about to get that sleep paralysis, that's, the simplest way I could put it. I get a ringing, it's almost like a pressure in my ears. Like if you've been underwater, if you're underwater and you get that pressure in your ears where it's just heavy and it feels like your ears clogged, that type of pressure, and it almost like vibrates. So it gives you that pressure in your ears and it vibrates. That's how I know that I'm in that space. And what happened is I was frozen. Like whenever you go through sleep paralysis, you get frozen. You were completely frozen. And I was just laying there. I couldn't move. And out of nowhere, I felt this immense, incredible. It was so heavy of a presence that was just something I have never felt before. I promise you, it felt like just being there, just the appearance of that entity. It felt like they put 100-pound weighted blanket on me. And I was already not moving, but this right here, just that, and it almost felt like, I don't know if any of you get this, but personally, I can't touch cotton balls with my hands. It almost gives me like a, ugh. Same thing with like nails going across chalkboard, that kind of feeling. That's the feeling that it gave me on top of that heaviness, and even more so where it literally made me feel like I did not want to be alive. And it was so insane to even think that. And I was praying in my head. I was speaking to God in my head, praying, but the feeling that it made me feel was that. I can imagine what Ezekiel felt. I can imagine what it was, and it must have been something similar to that. So I felt it come around me, and like I said, your spiritual eye is a lot more keen. Your senses are a lot more keen. I had gone and I felt the design of it, the style of it. I don't know how to explain it. The features of it, and it looked like what typically is represented as the devil. The hooved horns, the torso that's like man, the horns on the head, the hooved feet, I meant, and the tail. I could feel the tail, and it was a very long, powerful tail. And at the edge of it was almost like a very, very sharp arrowhead. It was like made of metal. It didn't feel like flesh whatsoever. And I could actually see on my shadow, on the shadow of the wall, because I was facing the wall, and I had a little blue light that would be on, and I could actually see the shape of the shadow, and I could see the tail just kind of flicking like a cat. This is why I hate cats. I always hated cats. But in that same way, now I see it. The same way that cats flick their tails, that's how that thing was flicking its tail. And I could almost feel it before it even did anything. I could feel it penetrating my gluteus maximus, my bottom, my butt. I could feel it like penetrating a cheek. Almost like if you're getting a sciatica spasm or a nerve spasm. That's how it felt without it even touching me, just from the anticipation. And it didn't even touch me. It didn't even do anything. It just appeared. And I felt that fear. And I hate it because I hate fearing what we shouldn't fear. You know what I mean? Like I'm I'm so hardcore in the faith of wanting to be fearless and desiring to be exactly how we need to be. But that situation, I don't know if it was God showing me, hey, you can do nothing without me, or if it was God allowing me to see the main adversary has his eyes directly on you, which makes the most sense. What exactly it was, but that's like the last one I've had in a very long time. So I could feel it. So if I could feel how it was, how it is, the emotions and the vibrations of its quote unquote aura, how much more could they? But that's a whole different conversation too. I'm getting a little off track. The feeling of it that came from understanding the attacks of the enemy. But what I really want to say is the fakeness of it, because again, their power is limited. They can only feel how you feel. Therefore, they will try to use that to their advantage so they can feel your desires. If something is swinging across your face, if they put something across your face and say, hey, look at this shiny object. Do you want it? They'll feel the desire of your pull to want it. This is how they have familiar spirits, because they're spirits that have that specific ability to be able to do that to you, to be able to tempt you with what you desire, what you have desired, or to be able to know you, quote unquote, to a certain aspect of being able to tempt you properly, being able to put the right things in front of you. So understanding all of this is a huge key to understanding that it isn't always what it looks like. So when it comes to success, that is not what it looks like. Because even David and Saul, let's go into David and Saul. Saul having the first impression of David. Everybody having the first impression of David. Whenever he came, it was David and Goliath. He came and approached, and he was bold. He was bold in the faith. That's the type of faith that I want to have, and I'm still working towards. And I definitely have to an extent, but it's not perfected. And I hope through Christ Jesus one day it could be perfected more so. But David is just buck. He's coming in, he's buck. He's like, what's going on? Who is this unworthy, uncircumcised Philistine speaking about my God? And he starts asking questions. He starts saying all this. And immediately his brothers accuse him. Oh, hey, I know you. You're just here to be nosy. You're just here to, stick your spoon where it don't belong. And he's asking these questions. And he finds out about the reward. And he's already like, hey, I would have done it for free. But he finds out about the reward that Saul is offering. And he's like, what's up? What's the reward? What is it? And he's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Put me up, coach. Put me out. And he goes up to Saul, and Saul gives him his breastplate. He gives him his armor. He gives him a sword. He's like, this man has been fighting since he was a kid. You are nothing but a kid. He's been a warrior since he was a kid. He is trained to kill. And what are you, a farmer's boy? Little boy? Like, in his mind, it was already like, oh, we lost this. All of Israel is in the hands of this child. But let's go. You know what? Let's go. Let's do it. Let's see what he does. And he tried dressing him as what he believed someone who would conquer a man like Goliath would look like. And David said, nah, this ain't me. And this is not what I can do and how I can approach him, because I do not know this. And he took it off, grabbed his sling, went over to by the river, picked up 5 rocks, and he posted up. And he ran to the line. And he swung that thing and hit it right between the eyes of Goliath. And he fell. And he took his sword and cut off his head with it. This is what your champion looks like. This is what the champion of Israel looks like, holding your champion. When everybody thought that it had to be someone who at least looked similar to Goliath to be able to succeed in that test. And it took one small shepherd boy with the faith of God on his side. So it's not always going to look like what other people think it should look like. And don't go off of what they believe it should look like, or the world has told you what success should look like. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on my Christ. Success is inevitable with God on our side. And just because it may not look like it, imagine where you are right now compared to when you first came into Christ, compared to a couple years ago, compared to when you were locked up, compared to when you were in that situation of the world, compared to before you knew Christ. How far have you come? Think about that and give yourself some kind of merit and understanding so that you can continue to run this race the way you're running it. You know, obviously, there's always things that we need to tweak and adjust to make sure we're running it a little bit better, but give yourself that credit, right? And give God all the glory, for he has brought us there, and he didn't bring us this far just to bring us this far. I love you all. I hope you have a blessed one, and remember to change that perception on success.